actually work here. All right. Hello. Good morning, and whatever time of day it is you're watching this. For me, it's afternoon because I'm off work today. I have an appointment in a little bit, so I'm gonna do a video here. Um, this is my big white ball. I've been talking about this big white ball for a bit here, and what I want to talk about is what is a horizon? What does a horizon mean if we were to look at it and how it affects us in a spherical sense. So I'm gonna pull this little red ball up here. I have a tiny little red ball. It's the head of a pin, and it is just to demonstrate an observer height. So the thread I have here, I didn't try tying it around the ball to sort of represent a line of sight. So it's not necessarily somebody's head, but I've drawn a couple of points on my sphere. And the reason I've done that is because I want to show what a horizon would be like, and I have another thing that might help explain it a little bit in a minute. But I'm gonna show what this is. So if we take the thread that I'm pulling out here, right now it's parallel to a tangent line on this sphere, and this is what maybe a few flat Earth proponents might think is going on with an airplane. So, like, if the airplane was flying along at this altitude, if they didn't correct what they were doing, that they would eventually fly off of our Earth. The problem with that is that two things would happen. Is one, you can see very quickly what would happen is they would fly off. If that was possible, they'd have to overcome gravity, and I realize gravity is a bit of a touchy subject, so maybe I shouldn't bring it up. But they would fly off the Earth. And even at this scale here, this is an extremely out of proportion representation of the atmosphere a plane would fly in, compared to the size of this white ball I have here. But this gravity would stop you from doing this in two ways. One is you'd have to resist the pull of gravity and actually get the thrust and torque and power required to get yourself out of the gravity created by Earth. But also, that gravity holds the atmosphere that you depend on. It holds it in. I don't know if my microphone's been picking this up very well. I forgot to have my microphone close to my voice. So when I listen to this again, hopefully it's still intelligible. But what you see here is this doesn't work for those two reasons. There's no atmosphere to fly through. Planes, jet engines use the atmosphere for their propulsion and for their lift. If you were to break out of the gravity of Earth and you kept on staying out of it, it might be theoretically possible. I haven't done the math on it to see if a vehicle like that could launch. I know people have looked at it before. I'm sure there's some great videos by people who are like aerospace engineers explaining the ins and outs of it, but this would be extremely hard to do. Now, the main point of my video is this. I want to show that if you had your observer height at where the thread is tied on to the little red pin here, and you pull this thread down to actually meet the ball, this is the point at which you could not get your sight to go any further than this unless you account for refraction. So this is what happens here. Now, the other thing I want to point out is that I don't want to fight about the formulae used to calculate the shape of an Earth or what the curve is. 8 inches per mile squared, which is a weird thing. I guess it's miles is something they use in another country far away from here. They're kind of our neighbors and whatnot, but it's a weird thing. They have signs that tell you to do speeds based on a mile. I'm not really sure what that is, but anyway, it's a whole thing down there. So if I pull this out here and we ignore atmospheric refraction, which is a thing, this is how far you could see. All right. Now, if the observer height was a little lower and maybe a little bit more reasonable, it would be on this other dot here. So I've pulled it here, and this is what you would see. Right? Hopefully that is visible and understandable. So that's cool, right? That is a neat thing. Now, I'm going to show you something else here. I don't know if this is going to be as great a representation as I wanted it to be. I'm going to try and find this thing that I have. I don't know what I did with it. I may have dropped it. I should cap up this marker so it doesn't get messed up here. Well, I might have lost one of my important teaching pieces here, which is fine. I'll teach something else right now. Actually, what if I had a mountain in the distance here at this point? Right here, I have a mountain, and I'm gonna try and fix my thread here. It keeps sort of falling down. If I look out the ball, okay, we're gonna ignore atmospheric refraction. I had something to sort of help show that, but if we look straight ahead, on our ball, the horizon will block the bottom. Hopefully this is visible here. I'm not sure if this is the right way to hold it or not. I'm going to try to do that. I'm kind of holding it in front of my face, so it's hard to tell if this is really getting the message across, but I think it is. I think you can see that if the thumbtack, that is kind of a turquoise color, is beyond the horizon, it's going to be partially blocked from view. And like I say, we'll ignore refraction for now. So what I've done is I've put that there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the mountain and move it a little further away from our observer, our little red-headed observer. And I'm going to show you this. I'm going to show you that you should be able to see just the top of this mountain. I'm calling it a mountain because hopefully the thread is still visible. I think it is. The light isn't perfect for this experiment. And now, the thread's falling down and stuff. I might have to redo this again with a better apparatus, but I think I'll upload this anyway because I think the basic message is getting across is that if you look through this, you're going to see this. Now, what atmospheric refraction does, atmospheric refraction bends the light around here so that a little bit of the light, so, if there was no atmosphere, this straight line would be a perfect line. Hopefully I'm hoping the thread's visible there. So you look out, you're the redhead here. Technically, I'm the redhead. I'm one of these weird ginger people. But anyway, you're here, you're looking out, and the only way you're going to see further is if you raise your height up like this. And then so I can get a situation where we're back to, if I raise up my observer, I'm back to seeing most of the mountain. This is pretty straightforward stuff. I'm pretty sure that anybody that watches me is going to understand this. Now, the thing about refraction is it bends light. And so what's happening is if we reverse the positions, if we consider, let's reverse the ball here. And now let's pretend that our redhead is actually, we've climbed a mountain and we're on top of the mountain, and our redhead is an antenna that's off in the distance. And now, okay, with that extra height, we can see almost the whole tower, but not quite, right? You can see the thread there, I think. I think that's pretty visible. If you don't have height, the horizon will be closer to you. That's what's important. Now, the other thing that's important, and I think this is a point I'd like to make, and I'm going to use another device. So I'm just gonna make a mark here so that people know I'm not playing with things. There are some super pedantic people in the community who might think if I didn't put a mark there that I'd be changing things around or this wouldn't work. So here's something I want to point out. So this is a device I think most people are familiar with. It's called a compass. And this compass will help me scribe a circle. So if I take this and set it at a certain distance, okay, I can set it here. All right. And what this does is it helps me draw a perfect line that maintains a radius. So this distance here, if I took this with a measuring device here, right? So take this and I measure this in centimeters. So I don't know if you can see this, but from there to there is a bit of reflection. But from there to there, I've got about 34, 33 millimeters. 33 millimeters. 33 is a great number. You know what the best thing about the number 33 is? It pisses off people for no reason. And it's palindrome. And I was once 33 back many years ago. So it's great for all those reasons. So hopefully, I don't think this is going to be really greatly visible before I do some work on making this line a little bit more visible. I'm going to show people this line. I think you can sort of see it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw on this with a marker to show a little bit better what's going on. I'm going to put some dots around here. And as I put the dots around, I'm going to fill them in. And the reason I'm doing that is to show these are points from which if I put I'm going to change our observer here. I've got an observer here who has, this is a golden headed observer. This is like C3PO. Okay. She's got a little golden head there, or as Han Solo would say, goldenrod. And then I'm going to show you here. I'm putting it back in right where I got the red one out of. There it is. Right. I should probably have kept the red one. You know what? I will go back to the red one because the red one already has the thread on it. That's what I wasn't thinking of. What I'll do then is then I'll put C3PO out here, right? And then I'm gonna put this here, and I'm gonna pull the string out. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hold the thread out here, right? So I'm gonna find a point where when I pull on this, I can hit this horizon, and I won't be able to see any further. And so this is the circle that I've drawn here. And this circle represents the furthest that our red-headed observer can see if we leave refraction out of the equation. Refraction will always change this because refraction is a real thing that exists. So here it is. I hope you can see that. And if you do some observations in the early morning, you'll be able to see that that you can see far away items in the sky. Things that are tall, like a tower, or if you live in a mountainous region, or even a region like I do, where some of the terrain is much higher by hundreds of meters than other terrain. If you're at some of the lower terrain, you can look out and see the tops of things, but if you've lived here like I have, you know that there's a bottom there that you can't see, that you've visited, say, like maybe you've gone for a hike to a waterfall or something that goes over the escarpment, but you can't see the trail that you've hiked on. You know that that's blocked by something, but you can, from a couple dozen kilometers away, you can start to see the top part of it. It's there, and on a clear day, and on a less clear day, you have to get a lot closer. And on some cloudy days, weather conditions can make it impossible to see the car in front of you. That's called fog. That's a real thing that exists. Our atmosphere does a lot of weird things to light. And one of the reasons you can't see is because the atmosphere is full of water droplets. But you may have also noticed, if you use your high beams in a fog, they're worse than ineffective. They actually just reflect glare back at you and make it less easy to see. Fog lights are usually mounted low on a vehicle. And if you notice, some people put fog lights in that are red shifted without being red. So they put in the closer to red lights. So things like yellows and oranges, they'll put in as fog lights. And the reason for that is because the wavelength of that light cuts through fog a little bit better. I might do a video on that. And I might even, if I ever get a little bit of extra money, or if my bulbs burn out on my fog lamps on my truck, I may actually invest in some colored ones and see if they improve my vision in fog. I'm gonna see if that happens. We get lots of fog here. And I'll often have fog near home, and then I'll get to work or I'll get to somewhere else and the fog will go away because I'm at a lower elevation. Because I happen to live at an elevation, I think it's about 150 meters higher than some others. Um, I'm gonna just say one more thing about this. So I'm gonna talk about our C3PO here because I'm a Star Wars fan. So here they are, and so they're out here. We can just see their feet out here, right? So we're here. We're with the red-headed observer. We're looking with them, and we can see all the way to C3PO, who's waving at us. They've just crash landed on Tatooine, maybe, and they're like, "Hey, is that a friendly red-headed stranger?" It's hard to say. They've got a red head. Is it a Jawa? I do not know. I do not know if this is a friendly red-headed stranger or not. But this is how far you can see. This you can see to a point tangent to the sphere. Now, if C3PO crash landed a little further away, like this, we would look out at C3PO and we'd say to ourselves, C3PO is either further away and they'd look smaller because of perspective, but perspective is a word that fucks up flat earth people sometimes. So but you see, we can only see up to C3PO's belly now, because when we're looking out at him, I don't know if it's a him, he's a droid. I've never thought about the genders applied to droids, but C3PO does sort of give off a male vibe of sorts. So yeah, so you can only see this far. Same as if we're looking out at the mountain, we can only see halfway up. If we're looking at C3PO, maybe we're on Tatooine, maybe we're on the Flurf planet of White Ball. Here we are. You can only see this part. What happens with refraction is that many times, one of the most common types of refraction is that it sort of bends light around a corner. And the corner is bending around is this one. It's the curve of the earth. The curve of a sphere. So I realized I've gone on and on here. I've showed a few demonstrations. It's meant to be simple, and sometimes I'm not very simple with my explanations. There's good reason for me not being a teacher, and you've seen it all right here. So I'm gonna leave it at that. A few more things from the spherical ball. A horizon, the point of this is the horizon is how far you can see, which is all these black points. Okay? All these black points are as far as you can see on a sphere. You got to remember that if you add in an atmosphere, you will see further a lot of the time. And the only way to calculate that properly is to know things like the air temperature and the change in air temperature. So, for instance, I'm going to say this is the last thing I'm going to say. It is important to know if C3PO could help you to say, hey, the temperature at my feet is this. Let's say the temperature at my feet is 10 degrees Celsius. The temperature at my head is 11 degrees Celsius. C3PO is a droid, is sensors, and it can tell you that. And then you're the red-headed observer, and you take these measurements there. And maybe you and C3PO, you're not just finding each other on Tatooine, you went out to do an experiment. If you were to also, you and C3PO, you set up his little base camp there and leave him there and then say, okay, C3PO, you're going to wait there. Let's take these temperature measurements. And then say, I'm going to take some on my way back. I'm going to take them here. So I've moved my thumbtack, which is previously was a mountain. And say that's another point of observation. Now, it would be great to leave a sensor station. So maybe that's what we have. Maybe what we have is we've left sensors there where there's a temperature measurement at the bottom and at the top. And so then we know what the temperature dip is. We can add that information in and know whether atmospheric refraction, what it would be expected to be roughly. In an ideal world, you'd actually have it throughout, like all the way across. You'd have temperature measurements. But if you had it over this amount of space, and this is extremely massive space, like the heights that we have here are ridiculous compared to the scale of the ball. I'm just trying to illustrate a point about what happens, what a horizon represents, and it represents the furthest you can see. I hope that that makes sense. I also hope that this makes sense. I have one more point to make, and that is this. And I've brought my flat Earth model here. What I've done is I've borrowed some modeling clay from my children, and it's pretty weird. I actually I'm going to show this. I thought this was adult modeling clay when I first looked at it. I don't know if you can tell why. And then I realized this is just a mollusk. This is just a mollusk. You are not seeing anything that's not safe for work. There is no reason to be concerned. This is a child's toy, and that is a snail who's a little bit surprised to see me this morning. His eyes are bugging out of his face. All right, now I've got my red-headed friend here, and I dropped the white ball, and I've got C-3PO here. On the flat Earth, assuming that the flat Earth is a pack of clay, and I guess we can probably agree that on a spherical Earth or on a flat Earth, I think we both agree there's clay in the ground. So here we go. I got this modeling clay. This distance is, and I'll just show you here, over a distance that is larger than the horizon that I showed on my sphere, but not outside the size of the sphere I've been showing. How does a horizon play into this? I want to fucking know how a horizon has anything to do with a flat fucking Earth. That's all I'm saying. What the fuck is a horizon on a flat Earth? Please explain that to me. Now, I don't want to be unfair or unkind to anybody that I don't want to be unfair or unkind to. So, here I'm going to do this just to show that I'm not playing some sort of a camera trick. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a thread here, take the thread there, and I'm going to show that what the fuck? Why is no part of C-3PO blocked on this flat surface? Can you tell me that? I'm not calling out anyone in particular. I'm certainly not calling out Flatzoid. I'm certainly not talking to Bev. Those are two people I'm not fucking talking to, but I definitely want to know from someone who understands flat Earth science. What the fuck is a horizon on a flat Earth? Why can the red-headed observer and C-3PO see all of each other's bodies across this fucking flat Earth? And they can't on a sphere. I want to know how it works. I'm not saying that Flatzoid told me there was a horizon on a flat Earth, but he fucking told me that. And that's why I made this video. I want to fucking understand flat Earth geometry because I'm a curious cat. That's what this all comes down to. I've shown you why there's a horizon on a sphere. I've shown you what a horizon is on a sphere. And I'm not going to pretend that atmospheric refraction doesn't exist. I just left it out of my demonstration. I explained basically what would affect it so that it's not called into question that I don't understand that's happening. But what the fuck is a horizon on a flat Earth? Why can I see all of a body when I model it out on a flat surface? How the fuck does that work? And a special call out to Nitty on his great appreciation for mollusk eyeballs. That's all I want to say about that. Thank you everyone for watching Al Trucker does science and geometry on the Al Trucker Science and Geometry Hour, which has lasted 25 minutes. This show does not have, I repeat, this show does not have a name, but perhaps it should. There we go. There I am on my trusty steed. I am gonna say, for anybody that watches this, please post in the comments. I want to know a few things. If your name happens to be Flatzoid or Bev, go ahead and comment. Try to fucking tell me something. I know you don't follow me or anything, but hopefully you enjoy this. And I'm sorry. I don't know if I've mentioned I'm a truck driver, so there's a lot of fucking swearing on my channel. And if you don't like fucking swearing, then fuck off. So a couple of important things. If you think you can explain what a horizon is on a flat Earth, please post it in the comments. If you think you can explain why airplanes don't fly around a globe in the atmosphere, explain that to me. I can't remember if that was in my first cut where I fucked it up or if it's in this one. This is my second take. I'm gonna just fucking post it because I'm not very well organized. I don't have a professional anything. When I'm driving a truck, I'm a professional. When I'm driving YouTube, I'm fucking useless. So anyway, so that's it. So tell me what you think about a horizon. Tell me if you think I did a good job explaining what a horizon is, and tell me if you can explain what blocks things bottom up on a flat Earth. I want to know that. I really want to fucking know that. I also want to know why Flatzoid posts stupid videos like the one he did where he shows a boat that hasn't even approached the horizon, having only a certain amount of freeboard present. Is the draw of a vessel unknown to you? And also, I hope maybe that my buddy Tiny Captain will come and talk to me about how much freeboard is left when there's ballast on or off of a ship. And also, I bet Tiny Captain could explain to us what freeboard is, what that term means, and also why the freeboard might change when it's closer than the horizon. And then also whether there's something that boats do to like drop themselves into the ocean after they've been loaded and gone out to from the port. I think there are some minor adjustments that are made, and I don't know if anyone's aware of this, but salinated water as opposed to fresh water. That's like salt water versus salt water is more buoyant than fresh water, if I'm not mistaken. And I have actually been on a fairly large vessel that has traveled in and out of fresh and salt water, and the freeboard changes. And not only that, you can feel the boat rise up a little bit and then drop back down again. It's a pretty cool effect. I've experienced it in the St. Lawrence River where salt and fresh water meet. It's pretty neat. So there's some, what would you call them? Should we call them confounding variables when you're looking at something like that? Sure. But when I go out to the ocean, I have been to two of the three oceans that are touching my country, and I look out on a clear day. I do not see places that I should see on a flat Earth. I do not see ships that I should see on a flat Earth. And I do see curve, and I do see my horizon in the distance at a fairly equal amount. It can change a little bit here and there. I can see the tops of mountains as I drive across the prairies long before I can see the bases of mountains. And when I'm flying across the country, I can see way, way far up into the distance. And I can see less far where there's mountains blocking my view. I can see further in the prairies. A clear day at 40,000 feet, I can see Earth curvature. At that point, it is apparent looking straight at the middle of a airplane window. There's no real explanation for that on a flat Earth. There just isn't. And I don't want to become a flat Earth debunker. It's not the main thing that I do. I'm going to do a live show shortly. Um, I'm going to talk about something else, and I'm going to try to have some fun. But I'm going to talk about a serious topic, and I'm going to start out with a serious topic, and then I'm going to switch to all sorts of fun shit I want to talk about. So hopefully you can lick and describe this video. If you're a flat earther and you think I'm offensive, yeah, I fucking am. I'm absolutely gobsmacked that you exist. But I appreciate your curiosity. I appreciate you wanting to know answers. And I want to share what I know and understand about the world we live in. I want to share what I've found by traveling around this continent fairly extensively. Um, I've managed to see a few things, and the explanation for those things works out quite well when you're on a globe. There's a whole bunch of phenomenon that are easily and explained with continuity. Continuity is fucking important. I want to say that. If you have an explanation for one thing that doesn't explain five other things that happen at the same time, it's not a good explanation. You should throw that explanation out or redevelop it to include the other observations. Because otherwise, you don't really have anything except you've basically crapped in your hand and you're holding it out and saying, "See, I've solved this problem," and you have not. That's something to keep in mind. And I don't have enough of a following for anybody to hate me yet. We'll see how I do when I get to that point. It'll be fun, I'm sure. For those of you that think I'm wrong, post it in the comments. Most important thing, I believe that it is incorrect that Al Trucker be mounted on this beautiful Shire horse behind me, and not have a name for this beautiful Shire horse. And I do have a couple of concepts, but I'm not going to put them out there. I would like for anyone out there with a good idea about what I should name my horse here should let me know. And I don't believe we know whether this horse is any specific gender. So I will take names of any gender and I will apply them. And I will also take commentary on whether this is a mare or a stallion or maybe something in between. I'm not going to put limits on gender differences in equine animals when I have no clue whether they exist or not. I have experienced them firsthand in terms of like outward presentation of sex organs, but that's just because there's a bunch of horse shit that goes on in my day-to-day life. Not related to the trucking I do. It's related to what my family does. Anyway, I've come to like and appreciate horses a great deal. I think I don't want to say I don't love them. I didn't grow up with horses, so it's kind of a semi new thing to me. But for a long time, though, I've had horses in my family, and it's something that is pretty important to us. So I felt like the best thing for me to do is to put myself on a horse, which represents the days of old when beasts of burden did the work that I do now, moving people and things around. With right now, I use a very large truck to do that, and in or a lorry. I think it's a lorry or an HGV in other places. You can also put in the comments what do you call a heavy haul trucker where you're from, and what that's called. I'm familiar with an HGV. I'm familiar with a convoy exceptional in Europe. I'm familiar with heavy hauler in North America. I'd love to know if people call them other things in other places, and I'd also love to know if you have other ideas about things you want to see me talk about on YouTube. If you want to see me talk about things related to flat Earth still or globe Earth, I'd rather tell you what's really going on than tell you what isn't. But if there's something you want to see me cover, if there's something you want to see me help you understand, or something you want me to understand that you think I don't, please let me know. And let's name my mount here. Let's come up with a name. gender if you want. I will take those names, and whoever comes up with the best name, I will do a live stream with you if you choose, or I will make a special post or announcement about it, and we'll present the new name of my mount. And of course, that is a ridiculous representation of me up above my head. But I think the baldness came in pretty well, and the beard, I just couldn't get it to like replicate the beard properly. But I that is the beard I aspire to have one day. I did just trim my beard about a week ago, so it's a little slowed in its progress. But yeah, my wife kind of prefers a goatee. And if that's what she wants, it's really no skin off my neck. It's easy enough for me to shave a little bit of my cheeks, and she appreciates it. I appreciate her, so this is life. Thank you, thank you to everybody that's joined in, and even if I've called you out and told you that I don't understand your reasoning, I'm upset with your reasoning, but I don't think you're a terrible person. I wish you would explain things and not dance around in circles and say things that are patently stupid. For everyone else, I love you all a great deal. I appreciate everybody that comes by. So many wonderful people in the community, and even people outside of the community. Most of you are wonderful too. I appreciate everybody. Thanks very much.